Hey everyone, Kevin here, and welcome back to my channel. I think I've made it pretty clear that I feel education has become a cesspool over the last few decades, and that it simply isn't a career anyone should be choosing now because of how bad it's become. But I've gotten a few requests recently from friends and others on LinkedIn to talk about what advice I would give to people who are choosing to enter the teaching profession right now, despite all the warnings I and others have been continuously giving them. And this is not a video I thought I would ever make because of how active I've become in helping people get out of teaching. But I have to understand that some will inevitably become educators anyway, and that they might benefit from my advice and experience there. So here we are. Let's go through the top 5 things I want a fresh person considering teaching right now to hear and really internalize. Number 1, double major in college before ever entering a credentialing program, or at least commit yourself to constant upskilling while you're teaching. Educators need a backup plan now. Most of us went into teaching wanting to just be teachers and thus never had an alternative in case something came up, and that hurt us later. When we ultimately decided to leave the profession, we felt pigeonholed and unable to transition out because our education based degrees often lacked utility outside of the profession, and that's why so few of us are actually using our degrees these days, too. I'm definitely barely am at all. It's also why almost every single teacher who has quit struggled to find work until they completed a lot of upskilling in the field they were choosing to move into, since no one would take them seriously otherwise. Sure, it's time consuming and will cost even more money, and teachers already don't have enough money as it is, but you'll have a fallback career or at least something that you're more interested in and are able to pursue in the event you want to do something else. And speaking of just that, number 2, don't expect teaching to be your forever career. Please just don't. Everyone goes in with this dream of changing education, making it better, and being the wonderful teacher that inspired them back in elementary or high school. But that kind of teaching you're thinking of no longer exists. Plus, the old standard cutoff was 5 years to make it as an educator. If you could make it past those first 5 tough years, your likelihood of leaving or burning out greatly diminished. But not anymore. Fewer and fewer prospective teachers are making it through their student teaching alone, much less the first 5 years of having their own classroom. And few of them had any kind of fallback plan when they realized teaching wasn't for them, which is why I talked about number one first. And getting through those student teaching experiences will be hard enough as it is. And even if you actually do make it a few years in, you're going to run headlong into the worst of what education has to offer now, such as number 3, every day will be a struggle because of the constant exposure to violence. Before going into the career, please, I beg of you, take off the rose colored glasses. Education isn't what you see in television shows or in movies like Dead Poets Society, where you'll have this wonderful set of kids who eagerly await your lessons all the time and yell Carpe Diem while standing on top of their desks. And no, it was never like that per se, and you'll certainly have wonderful kids who you cherish and are able to make a difference for. Don't forget that. But the majority of kids aren't that amicable these days. You're more likely to see students getting into fights. A lot. You're going to be threatened by kids and even assaulted. Most of us have been to some degree. And you're going to be spending more time dealing with classroom management issues every single day than actually teaching. And don't think administrators will back you up either, because almost all of them no longer stand up for their staff and are ladder climbers rather than, former teachers who wanted to move up. They don't enforce discipline policies, send violent kids right back to class, and gaslight you into thinking any problems you're having are your own fault. Seriously, you need to be ready for the constant stress that will come with that and be ready to deal with kids who have become increasingly violent and difficult to control because of this next reason. Number 4, you're going to be treated like a professional babysitter a lot by both parents and administrators. Times have changed, and teachers don't just teach anymore. We're expected to be subject matter experts, clerks, counselors, and de facto parents. Why? Well, because most parents don't parent anymore. And yeah, I'm going to go there. The reason why you have to wear so many hats, do so much work, and be exposed to all that violence I just talked about is because of this very issue. Most parents want to be their kids' friends and expect teachers to raise their kids now, thus increasing their workloads even more with no corresponding raise in pay. It's why kids have become increasingly difficult to manage, even for those who are legendary when it comes to classroom management. The boundaries teachers used to set and which were upheld by parents isn't happening now. Kids aren't being given those boundaries at home and are thus chafing against teachers who do try and give them limitations. Oh, and don't even bother trying to call home unless you absolutely have to. Unless you get lucky, and you might, and have a good parent, most will defend their kid now rather than support you. The my little angel can do no wrong thing is just so prevalent now. And like I said, there's no discipline enforcement from administrators anymore either, and thus the kids know they can get away with anything they want to at school because they'll at worst get a detention for a serious offense, and their parents will not give them consequences at home either. Simply put, you need to be prepared for absolutely no support from administrators or parents. It used to be parents and teachers working together to reach their kids and find out why they were misbehaving to solve those problems. They used to ask, "Why is my kid failing?" Now, it's mostly administrators and parents against teachers asking us, "Why are you failing my kid?" It's incredibly frustrating, and you're rarely going to have good relationships with parents or administrators, so be ready for that professional babysitter type attitude. Number 5, actively refuse to take on more work or stay beyond your contract hours to avoid burnout. I left this one to last because it's really important, because most people are burning out. If you stand any chance of lasting in the classroom for more than a couple of years now, you desperately need to manage your own time or else have it managed for you. Educators are gaslighted into giving of themselves until there's nothing left, and guilt tripped into not taking time off, not using their sick days, and arriving far before and staying far after contract hours. Because think of the kids. Don't you know the position you're putting us in, needing to find a substitute for you? Or you need to be a team player. It's all, frankly, bullshit. They do that to educate you into the mindset that if you aren't working more hours than you're ever getting paid for, then you somehow don't care about the kids, or that if you actually take sick days because you're in bed with the flu, that you're letting the students and your administrators down. And we bought into it because we wanted to make tenure, not make any waves and have job security. But no amount of job security is worth that treatment and burnout levels of work and stress. Arrive for your contract hours, stay for your contract hours, and only do work like before or after school duty or whatever is it if it's in your contract, and simply refuse anything else that they demand of you. It is the only way you will ever stay sane and have some control over your teaching career, or else you'll end up being the slave to your work that all of us were, and which led to complete physical and mental exhaustion. Believe me, the paperwork alone will bury you if you let it. And if you can do these 5 things, you will have a much better chance of staving off burnout, keeping control of your life, and being ready to leave teaching if it comes to it. So you aren't scrambling to figure out what else you want to do. Most importantly of all, you will have such a decreased chance of winding up with the lasting mental health issues and PTSD we've been left with if you do this. To be frank, I still do not recommend teaching to anyone and actively discourage people from considering the profession. But if you do choose to pursue it, please take these points to heart. I really mean it. Well, guys, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, consider liking and subscribing or ringing the bell button to stay notified whenever I post something new. It helps the algorithm a lot, really, and I appreciate it. But for now, I've been Kevin, and I will see you in the next video.